Suspension. Speaking in a general sense, the suspension of this car is very reliable, but there are some of its elements that are not always able to digest the quality of domestic roads. For example, the silent blocks of the front levers, with a mileage of 80 to 100,000 kilometers, may require replacement. The links and bushings of the stabilizer live about the same amount of time. Body metal and paintwork. Almost all Japanese cars have a problem, the essence of which is to save the manufacturer on body metal and paintwork. This leads to the fact that in the area of the hood and front fenders, especially with frequent trips on the highway, the paint chips, and rust very quickly begins to appear from under it, with all the ensuing consequences. Electrics. Operating problems associated with electrical components are a kind of calling card of almost all modern Japanese cars. Here it is impossible to say exactly what will fail and at what mileage. However, it is more than confident that Mazda Biante owners should always have the phone number of a good auto electrician at hand. Rear-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive modifications of this model have a weak point, which is the rear drives, which, if driven too often in an aggressive mode, can start knocking, and if you continue to move in this mode further, then the drives will not take long to break. In this case, replacing a damaged part can cost quite a lot of money, up to 30,000 rubles. Stove motor. The next factory defect inherent in this car lies in the heater motor. According to various sources, problems in its operation begin at mileages from 100 to 150,000. Of course, if you live in cold regions and use the stove much more often, the heater motor may fail much earlier. Due to the low prevalence of this machine in our country, the cost of replacing a damaged part will cost from 7 to 10,000 rubles. Cooling system. On 2.0-liter engines, troubles often arise due to a jammed thermostat. Because of this, depending on the position in which the thermostat is stuck, the car can either take a very long time to warm up or constantly boil. Typically, interruptions in the operation of this unit appear on runs of more than 120,000 kilometers. If you do not pay due attention to the malfunction in a timely manner, you can easily end up with expensive repairs to an engine damaged by severe overheating. Steering rack. Some owners of these cars also often complain about knocking noises in the steering rack caused by wear. Many even argue about this. Some people think that bad domestic roads are to blame, while others blame the manufacturer for releasing a low-quality product to the market. In any case, when purchasing this car on the secondary market, be sure to diagnose the steering rack. Air conditioning compressor. Last on our list, but not the least important weakness, is the air conditioning compressor. This defect applies more to those cars that are constantly used in particularly hot regions of Russia. Frequently turning the air conditioner on and off leads to failure of the electromagnetic clutch responsible for driving the compressor, as a result of which its operation becomes impossible. Buying a new compressor is an expensive pleasure, so many owners turn to specialized services, where a damaged coupling can be restored for a very reasonable amount, no more than 3,000 rubles. Weaknesses of Mazda Biante. Noisy and hard plastic in the cabin, a small number of different niches for storing small items, right-hand drive, the third row of seats cannot be retracted into a flat floor, difficulties in finding spare parts, low ground clearance, flimsy door handles, the interior takes a very long time to warm up and cools down quickly, requires the use of only high-octane fuel. Result. This car is one of the main leaders among Mazda's line of minivans in terms of price and quality ratio. This family car perfectly combines everything that most buyers require from it. It has a large interior, excellent handling, good dynamics, low gas mileage, a high level of comfort and low cost on the used car market in our country. What else does the average family need? Of course, the car is in the economy class segment, so there is no need to talk about the quality of finishing materials and body metal. But, if you sensibly evaluate all its pros and cons, the car is worthy of respect and you should definitely buy it, unless the right-hand drive position bothers you at all.